So in this video, we'll continue looking at the Home Rule League. We said that we would be looking at the Lucknow session and Lucknow Pact. So the Lucknow session of Congress is also famous for the Lucknow Pact, an understanding that was reached between the All India Muslim League and the Congress on certain issues. We have seen previously how closely the Muslims and Hindus were working earlier also, right? We said that it was Jinnah who was actually representing Lokmanya Tilak, the tallest leader perhaps in Congress at that point in time. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, then a member of the Congress as well as the Muslim League, made both parties reach an agreement to pressurize the British government to adopt a more liberal approach to India and give Indians more authority to run their country. So Jinnah was instrumental in bringing the All India Muslim League and Congress to speak to each other and to have some kind of a common agenda. And this common agenda involved some kind of a devolution of power from the British government to the Indian people. Jinnah himself was the mastermind and architect of the Lucknow Pact. Due to the reconciliation brought about by Jinnah between the Congress and the Muslim League, the Nightingale of India, Sarojini Naidu, gave him the title of the Ambassador of Hindu Muslim Unity. This was the title that Sarojini Naidu gave Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He was called as the Ambassador of Hindu Muslim Unity. Within just 2 to 3 decades, Jinnah would also be instrumental in the creation of Pakistan and in the partitioning of India. Such is the irony of the situation. Now, back to the Lucknow Pact. The main features of the Lucknow Pact are as follows. First, there shall be self government in India. So, they were very direct about it, right? They said there should be a self government in India. The Indian Council must be abolished. The salaries of the Secretary of State for Indian Affairs should be paid by the British government and not from Indian funds. The executive should be separated from the judiciary. The number of Muslims in the provincial legislatures should be laid down province by province. So this was one of the points that were reached in the Lucknow Pact. It said the number of Muslims in the provincial legislatures should be laid down province by province. Further, Muslims should be given one-third representation in the central government. There should be separate electorates for all communities until they ask for a joint electorate. System of weightage should be adopted. The term of legislative council should be 5 years. Half of the members of the Imperial Legislative Council must be Indians. So you can see from the Lucknow Pact that even at those early stages, what the Muslim League wanted and what the Muslim League leaders in fact wanted was representation for the Muslims and guaranteed representation at that. Tilak and Annie Besant played an active role in bringing the Lucknow Pact to fruition, much against the wishes of more hardcore leaders like Madan Mohan Malviya, who said that Congress had yielded too much to the Muslim League. Responding to this criticism, Tilak said, "It has been said, gentlemen, by some that we Hindus have yielded too much to our Muslim brothers. I am sure that I represent the Hindu community all over India when I say that I could not have yielded too much. I would not care if the rights of self government are granted only to the Mohammedan community. I would not care if they were granted only to Rajputs. I would not care if they are granted to the lower and the lowest classes of the Hindu population, provided the British considered them more fit than the educated classes of India for exercising those rights. I would not care if those rights are granted to any section of the Hindu community. When we have to fight against a third party, it is very important that we stand on this platform united, united in race, united in religion, united as regards all different shades of political creed." A more eloquent paragraph advocating secular, anti-communal, anti-casteist feelings may never be found. Tilak was considered one of the most orthodox Hindus, and such a defense of the pact, coming from a man of such stature, simply could have no opposition. The acceptance of separate electorates for Muslims was definitely a controversial decision. This is one of the reasons that when I was talking about the points of the Lucknow Pact, I stressed on it. That is, acceptance of separate electorate for Muslims, because it was definitely a controversial decision. However, at the time, it was taken with a view to allay Muslim minority fears. It was also in the Lucknow session of Congress that a demand for further constitutional reforms was made. This was in 1916, and this was during the World War I. The Chelmsford reforms were announced in 1919, but of course, as we have previously talked about, the Monte-Chelmsford reform were nothing but hogwash again. Another significant proposal made by Tilak was that the Congress should appoint a small and cohesive working committee that would carry on the day to day affairs of the Congress and be responsible for implementing the resolutions passed at the annual sessions. This was the only way the Congress would be transformed from a deliberative body to one capable of leading a sustained movement. This was quashed by moderate opposition. However, 4 years later in 1920, under Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, this was one of the major changes considered necessary if the Congress was to lead a sustained movement. Remember, this was the time when Gandhi was very sure that he wanted to launch and continue the non cooperation movement. What could not be achieved under Tilak in 1916 was achieved under Gandhi in 1920. A joint meeting of the two Home Rule Leagues, attended by over 1,000 delegates, was held at the same venue. As the popularity of the movement grew, it attracted the brashness of the evil British government. We will conclude the Home Rule League in the next video. Thank you.